I'm not a good person. Let's get that straight. I steal cash, jewelry, watches, safes. I don't smash windows. I don't wave guns. I don't tie people up. I don't hurt anyone. I slip in, take what I came for, and disappear like I was never there. That's the rule. I've been doing this for 9 years. Never caught. Never even suspected. I study houses for weeks. Patterns, lights, trash days, who comes and goes. I know when a dog is just loud and when it'll actually bite. I know which neighborhoods have cameras and which ones only think they do. I never pick violent homes. That's what I told myself. This one looked easy. Single mom, 3 kids, modest 2-story house in a quiet cul-de-sac. No dad in the picture. I watched for 3 weeks. She worked double shifts at a diner. Kids went to school. No frequent visitors. No obvious security system. One safe in the master bedroom closet. I saw it when she left the blinds open one afternoon. I told myself it was just insurance money, maybe some cash tips from work. I don't steal from the poor. That's another rule I lie to myself about. The night I chose was cold and windless. Perfect. Sound doesn't travel as easily when the air sits heavy. I slipped through the back window at 1:47 a.m. The house smelled like laundry detergent and spaghetti sauce. A normal house. A lived-in house. Toys in the hallway. A backpack tossed near the stairs. A child's drawing taped to the wall. Stick figures holding hands under a crooked yellow sun. I moved past it without thinking. Upstairs. Master bedroom. Closet. Safe. Easy. I was kneeling in front of it, pulling out my kit when I heard it. A muffled cry. Faint. Choked. Not the kind of cry from a nightmare. Not a sleepy whimper. A cry that was trying not to exist. I froze. My first instinct. Leave. If someone's awake, I'm gone. That's survival. But then I heard a voice. Low. Calm. Almost conversational. Where is he? Silence. Then something heavy hit flesh. A sharp gasp. I felt something twist in my stomach. Not fear. Not yet. Something else. Curiosity. I moved toward the sound. Every step felt wrong. Like I was crossing a line I wasn't meant to cross. The door to the eldest kid's room was cracked. I looked inside. The mom and 2 older kids were tied to chairs in the center of the room. Wrists bound, ankles taped, faces streaked with tears. And standing in front of them, a man in a mask. Not a ski mask. Not something simple. It looked handmade. Stitched leather. The face stretched into a permanent grin, too wide, too long. The eye holes uneven, like it was sewn in a hurry, or by someone who didn't care about symmetry. He held something metal in his hand. A tool, maybe a pry bar. He tilted his head, studying the family like they were an unfinished puzzle. I know there are 3 children, he said softly. I saw the school records. He walked to the dresser and picked up a framed photo. The family at a park. The mom smiling. 3 kids laughing. The youngest, a small boy, maybe 5, was in the center, missing his front tooth. The masked man tapped the glass with his finger. But I only see 2. The mom shook her head violently. He's not here, he's at his grandma's. The pry bar came down. I flinched. I've heard bones break before. In alleyways. In late-night deals gone wrong. But this was different. This was methodical. Where is he? The man asked again. The older siblings were sobbing now. The mom was trying to scream through whatever gag he'd shoved in her mouth. And then I heard it. A faint, trembling whimper. From the hallway behind me. My blood ran cold. I turned slowly. The youngest boy's bedroom door was barely open. I moved like I was underwater. Slow, careful. Inside, moonlight spilled across the carpet. The bed sheets were rumpled. Closet door open. Another small cry. Under the bed, I dropped to my knees and lifted the edge of the comforter. Two wide eyes stared back at me. The little boy pressed himself flat against the floor, tears streaking his cheeks, trying not to make a sound. He saw my black hoodie, my gloves. His lip trembled. "Are you gonna hurt me?" he whispered. I don't know what made me answer. No, it came out before I could think. I'm a thief. I'm not a hero. I'm not a fighter. I'm not a killer. I steal and leave. That's the rule. But the kid reached out and grabbed my sleeve like I was the only solid thing in the world. And in that moment, I felt something crack inside me. Before I could decide what to do, the floorboard behind me creaked. Not loud, just enough. The house went quiet. Too quiet. The muffled crying in the other room stopped. Heavy footsteps. Slow, measured, coming down the hallway. I shoved the kid deeper under the bed and slid beside the dresser, pressing myself into the shadows. The footsteps stopped at the doorway. I could see his boots first. Dark, mud-caked, then the edge of that stitched grin mask. He stood there for a long time, listening. I held my breath so long my lungs burned. He stepped into the room, every movement deliberate. Curious, he knelt down, right in front of the bed. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. He leaned down and looked underneath. I couldn't see his face, but I saw his body shift. Then he stood up. "Not here," he murmured to himself. He walked out. The footsteps retreated. Then the sound started again. Screaming, pleading, crying, and then nothing. I stayed frozen for 10 minutes, maybe 20. I don't know. Eventually, silence swallowed the house. When I finally crawled out, my legs shook so badly I nearly fell. I looked under the bed. Empty. For one horrifying second, I thought he'd lied, that he'd taken the boy and I hadn't seen it. Then I noticed the closet door slightly ajar. Inside, the boy was curled in a ball, hands over his ears. He looked at me like I was something between a monster and a miracle. "Is he gone?" he asked. I didn't answer. I couldn't, because I didn't know. I moved toward the hallway. The bedroom door where the family had been tied was wide open. The chairs were overturned. The room was red, too red, but there were no bodies, just rope, and that framed photo on the floor, cracked down the middle. The house felt wrong, not empty, not quiet, wrong, like something was still inside it, watching. I grabbed the boy's hand. "We're leaving," I whispered. We moved toward the stairs. Halfway down, the front door creaked open. Cold air rushed in. Footsteps stepped back inside. Slow, unhurried. I pulled the boy behind the couch and pressed us flat to the floor. The masked man walked through the living room. He was humming, like he'd forgotten something. He paused near the base of the stairs, turned his head slightly, listening. I could see the edge of the mask through the couch cushions. That stitched grin. He stood there for a full minute. Then two. Then he walked back out the front door. And this time I heard his car start. Drive away. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. When I was sure, I ran. Back window. The way I came in. I lifted the boy out first, then climbed through myself. We ran across yards, through fences, until my lungs burned. I dropped him 2 streets over and pounded on a random house door until someone answered. Then I disappeared into the night, like I always do. The news said the mother and two older siblings were found dead. The youngest survived. They never found the killer. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no evidence of anyone else being there. The boy told police someone else was in the house, a shadow man who told him he wouldn't hurt him. They couldn't find that man either. The masked killer, still out there. And here's the part that keeps me awake. A week later, I got home from a job. Nothing special. In and out. I stepped into my apartment. Everything looked normal, until I saw it. On my kitchen table, a framed photo, cracked down the middle, the same family picture, and on the glass, written in something dark and dried, I know there are 3. I don't steal anymore, but every night around 1:47 a.m., I hear footsteps in my hallway, slow, measured, and sometimes very softly, I hear someone humming.